Welcome everyone. I was just about to make a theory, a One Piece theory for the channel, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna show you where I'm currently at because I'm currently in a hotel room. And it's actually quite a very nice one. So let me just turn the camera so you can see the view. There you have it. I have a pool view, ocean view. It's actually quite a very nice place, a very nice view. And the audio for this video might be a little different because I'm not at home. I'm not using my desktop mic. So it might be a little different. This is a little about the room. It's a very nice room. So yeah, let me get into the video right away. So for this theory, I'm actually gonna talk about Ace and Luffy. Spoiler alert, if you haven't watched the Marineford War arc completely, you can stop right now because it's gonna contain some spoilers. You have been warned. So I'm basically gonna be talking about, Ace's death. Let's get into it. So what if I told you Ace didn't die because of pride for Whitebeard, but he actually died because of love instead. He chose to die for Luffy, and yes, it was his choice. So everyone, me included up to this point, thought Ace died because of pride, because he couldn't handle Akainu's insults. But this couldn't be further from the truth. I'm gonna prove that Ace actually chose to die and because of love for Luffy actually. So technically, this isn't a story about pride, it's not a story about insults or Ace couldn't walk away. It's actually just a story about an elder brother who loved his little brother and wanted to protect him. And unfortunately, he had to make the toughest decision anyone ever could. Let's all be real for a second here. Marineford up to this point, Wano included, Marineford up to this point is chaos. It was war, death, again chaos. It was the Marines against the greatest army of pirates at that point ever. Let's be real, the strongest man in the world and his commanders. And somehow, Luffy stood in the middle of all of that. Luffy was at that point just a random pirate, a random rookie, a boy. He was already worn out because he was chasing Ace a long time. Beaten, bloodied, he was barely alive because he was poisoned, almost died. But he charged in head first because Ace is his brother, and as we all know, he just wanted to save his brother. And let's be real, despite everything, he actually made it happen. He actually saved his brother, got to the top of that altar, got the keys, saved Ace. He actually completed his mission, and then it happened. They were almost gone, they almost escaped. And it took a few words from Akainu, a few insults to make Ace stop. But we all think it was because of pride. It was, of course, Ace argued it, but there's a little more to it than that. Sure, Ace was a Whitebeard pirate and he was a proud one, 2nd Division commander. But at that moment, Ace was also looking at Luffy. And he could tell Luffy has been through a lot, that Luffy's body wouldn't be able to handle much longer. And that's when he made the call to stop. So he turned back, and rightfully so. Sure, he was angry, but there's more to it than that. He didn't just stop because of pride and he wanted to fight Akainu. Let's be real, that's not completely the case. He saw that Luffy was broken, beaten, everything, all the above. And he knew that if Akainu went after Luffy at that point, Luffy wouldn't survive it. But here's where things get deeper. Because I was under the impression, I think along with most people, that the only reason Ace had lost that fight was because magma is way hotter than fire, right? So that's why Akainu was able to burn Ace from the inside out, right? Or make a hole through him. You get it. I believe even Oda mentions this at some point. Don't quote me on that, I'm not too sure. But if you do a tiny little bit of research, just Google it. I mean, AI at this point. Apparently, fire could potentially be hotter than magma, as per AI and Google. That argument is a little flawed. It's not that concrete. Sometimes fire can be hotter than magma, especially blue flames, I believe. And yeah, sure, I know Ace's fire is not blue, but it's still fire, so it's still within the argument. And besides that, at that point in the story, Haki wasn't completely introduced fully yet. It was, but it wasn't. To the point where the Logia still had a free-for-all, basically. With the exception of Conqueror's Haki, that was the first that was being introduced completely within his form. The other ones, like Armament and Observation, weren't quite all there yet. Of course, there were hints of them, but not completely like Conqueror's Haki. And Logias basically had a free-for-all. I mean, you had Crocodile fighting the other admirals, Logias versus Logias. I mean, Ace was fighting Aokiji at that point, fire versus ice, and no one was getting hurt. This brings me back to when Ace fought Smoker in Alabasta, when they were like circling against each other in their Logia-like forms. If this is the case where elements matter, shouldn't like fire burn smoke? There are a few technicalities here, I know. A scientist should be involved right now, but I mean, if magma can burn fire, which is like the same element technically, and fire's kinda hotter at some point, then shouldn't fire burn smoke? When Ace fought Aokiji, shouldn't he have been able to hurt him more? Because fire burns ice, for sure. So there are a few loops here and there. So back to the main focus. I think if Ace had really assumed his Logia form, basically Akainu would have just gone through him and hit Luffy that was right behind Ace. In this theory, I think the real conclusion is that Ace chose not to transform. He had to jump in front of Luffy in his human form, solid form, to hold that punch. Otherwise, Akainu would have technically really just gone through him and strike Luffy that was paralyzed on the ground, because Luffy reached his limits, and we all know this. So for me, the next time someone tells you or mentions that Ace died because he was reckless or because of pride, stop them and correct them. He died because he made an ultimate choice to protect his brother. He died out of love and not out of pride. And to me, that argument makes a whole lot of sense. If you made it to this part of the video and you're an Ace fan, drop a like, comment your thoughts down below, let me know what you think about this theory, these statements. Do you agree? Do you disagree? And of course, if you enjoy anime, anything anime, all things anime. Lately I'm talking a lot about One Piece though, because that's currently my favorite long-time running show. Hit that subscribe button. I'm gonna also link a few links up here for my previous theories. You can go take a look at that as well. See you on the next one.